Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. That could be on YouTube. That could be on Apple Podcasts. That could be on Spotify. Or, like every other brand in the world, we have done a deal with Nintendo. If you go watch the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie...
It's not called Mario Bros. Galaxy movie.
Super Bros. Galaxy.
I learned this yesterday.
Galaxy Mario.
Yes, I think it's that one.
If you go and watch that, there is, surprise, spoiler, Star Fox. That's his name? There's this guy called Star Fox.
His name is Lilac Wars.
We went
over this yesterday.
We know him from Fox Fighting. Fox Galaxy Space Fighting Bros.
Then they banned Fox Fighting in this country. Posh people really went against it.
Don't bring that up, Luke. I miss it dearly.
Posh people in tweed jackets and flat caps said it was a real disgrace.
Yeah. Foxes are vermin. We've got to hunt them out. But there's the Fox McCloud, whatever his name is, Fox McClain. He's in the movie. He has this cameo in the movie. It means nothing.
Nothing.
It's Poochie to the max. I wish we made that reference ourselves in yesterday's review.
Yeah, that would have actually been quite a good one. He is just there to Trojan horse an announcement of a new Lilac Wars game.
He literally, at the end of the film, spoiler I guess, says I must return to my home planet.
It does.
This is the most Poochie of Poochie.
Yeah. He has a whole thing about it's like, here's how I ended up here. And then he ends the movie going like, and now I'm going back.
Flip, 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 flip. If you watch the film and you see him, the way his fur moves is actually, that's when you should get out your phone in the cinema, turn it on, screen brightness to max, because that forms a QR code that takes you to this podcast and will also open up another tab of Cutscene on YouTube where you can watch our review of Super Galaxy Mario Bros.
You can also listen to it on Spotify.
It's everywhere. But on this episode, we will be having the ass index as usual.
Yes, we'll be reviewing AEW Dynamite, but we're going to kick things off talking about AEW Dynamite and the big return on AEW Dynamite.
This is unprecedented because AEW is actually good at the moment. We can lead in back-to-back weeks with AEW-focused stories.
Oh, yeah, we'll get the shill comments. We're going to be shilling all over the place here by saying he should have gone to the other company.
We cannot win. We either do a Friday show where we cover a big wrestling news story, which is generally WWE, and then go into the Dynamite review, and a bunch of the comments will be, why do you have to talk about WWE? Talk about AEW. And then last week, when we led with an AEW story about how great they are right now with all the ratings success, we get a load of comments saying, oh, these guys on the payroll for Tony Khan again.
Some people are just thick. I don't know what to tell you.
Or robots.
Or bots. Like Rob.
Yeah.
On Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Like every other key jangling reference you can think of. But yes, Chris Jericho's back.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Yay.
I finished recording my news yesterday. I walked up the stairs back to the office. You were literally just walking into the office building and you did the Jericho pose. And I went, yeah? And you went, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we walked into the office. We said, Dave, did you see the return? He said, oh, Jericho. He said, how was it? And we went, yeah?
Yeah.
And he said, exciting? I was like, not according to the people of Winnipeg.
Jericho, in his hometown. This isn't just Canada in general. This is his actual hometown of Winnipeg.
He's from Winnipeg, you idiot.
His dad is in the front row.
Was he really?
They had a close-up. That was
that the one excited guy was Jericho's dad?
The old guy singing Judas, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He went over to them afterwards and
oh.
I'm pretty sure that's his dad.
I mean, it might have been.
Famous hockey player.
I just saw an old dude. I assumed he was in his band.
Ted
Irvine. His real name's Chris Irvine.
Yeah.
Hockey guy.
Jericho gets in there, and people are going, Judas. Just a normal level of singing Judas.
You can hear Judas. It was not as loud as the music was, even when they dipped the music down. But then afterwards, you heard, Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. And then they couldn't decide whether to do Welcome Back or Welcome Home. And then decided neither.
Well, let's do this. What we'll do the opening segment of AEW, because that's when he came back. We're sort of doing a full Dynamite review on this episode of the podcast, like we would a Raw review. And then we'll go into the larger story of Jericho, our feelings on it, and what, if anything, he could possibly have left to do in AEW. So yeah, do you want to go through the segment as it began?
So this is my first experience watching AEW Dynamite on myaew.com, which is fun. You know, there's a bit of difference.
I call it MyUA. M-U. That doesn't work as well.
Just let you sit in that for a little bit.
M-Yow is how it reads.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, it's not easy to find where Dynamite is. Got to do a lot of scrolling to find. I would put it a bit higher up in the things I'm looking for.
No, the Fast Channel schedule of episode 1 of the entire run of Dynamite is first.
The constant live broadcast is there front and center, and it's scroll, there's pay-per-views, scroll, here's upcoming episode, scroll, here's other, scroll, oh, there's this episode of Dynamite.
I think it's a great service, though. I think it's the right move for them to have done. Incredibly good value for money. We are not sponsored by them at all.
Tell that to the comments.
And the only thing I wanted from it is, you know, when you move your cursor ahead, and sometimes in a fancy one you'll have a thumbnail picture of what's going on in advance, or at the bare minimum you'd have the time. Like, you know, if I move the cursor along 3 minutes, it will have 48 minutes 12 seconds as opposed to the 45 minutes 12 I'm on right now. That's really useful to skip ad breaks.
Yeah, it sure is.
They don't have that. I was just shooting blind with my cursor.
Well, you got this forward 10 button, which is what I was using. What I would like to see them implement, so Tony Khan, if you're watching, I need to be able to press the right arrow key.
Yeah, they don't have that as well.
Don't have that, and I'll be honest, kind of annoying.
But otherwise, great service, and still way better experience than watching Raw on Netflix.
Absolutely, it is, yeah. It makes me long for the WWE Network again.
Which, RIP, finally wrapped up on Wednesday.
It certainly did, yeah.
I wish that was an April Fool's. The idea that in the 12 countries it was still operating, you know, some remote part of the Amazon rainforest.
German Dan, obviously, it's from Germany. He's now experiencing what it's like to watch Raw on Netflix for the first time. Went on there and it was like, is this what you guys have been dealing with? It's like for the last couple of years, this is rubbish.
Yeah, it actually started off okay. It's just this year it's got really crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, to jump from what was, in hindsight, an excellent product in the network to WWE on Netflix is painful.
But anyway, so my first experience of watching this on, and I had no issues with it. Granted, I was watching it on demand, but I had no issues with it. But there were issues within the building because Tony Schiavone's in the ring and he's going to do the intro to the show. It's the contract signing between MJF and Jericho, and whoops.
Oh, MJF and Kenny.
MJF and Kenny. And then whoops, today see some pyro goes off. And Tony's like, oh, sorry about that, folks. Technical issues here. Anyway, contract signing. Got a big pay-per-view match coming up at Dynasty. Some more pyro goes off. And Tony's like, oh, I'm really sorry, folks. And then, doom, doom, da doom, da doom, however that song goes, Jericho makes his return.
I can sing it for you if you like.
I've done it.
Slightly out of time.
Jericho makes his return, wanders down to the ring, spends a good 5 minutes trying to get the crowd to chant his name, then says, Winnipeg, I'm home.
I think Winnipeg, AEW, I'm home. 4 words.
And then he left. And that was that. And I would say that, bearing in mind this is Winnipeg, this is his hometown, and he's not been on TV for a year, and he's been part of rumors that he might jump to the competition. This return pop was underwhelming.
Yes, I think everyone's going to be really disappointed. At first I thought, is this just an off crowd? Because you do get them. I think we had one last week or the week before with AEW. Yeah. Otherwise, it's been really great crowds this year. Generally, Canadian crowds are better than the average.
Bizarro world.
But then they got really loud for the final bits of the Ospreay-Pac match.
Yeah.
And they were super loud for MJF and Bayley in the main event.
Yeah.
So they were here for wrestling.
And when MJF and Kenny made their entrances for the contract signing, they came directly after this.
So we know what this crowd, we have a direct comparison of them being very excited is. And Jarrett, even the first moment when he steps out onto the stage, that pop isn't as big as some of the pops in just the normal wrestling matches we got later on.
There have been bigger pops for people whose debut was essentially announced ahead of time but kept a surprise. Punk, obviously, has been the big one. That's a hard one to compare it against because it's CM Punk in a way. But Mercedes Moné, they did the whole deal of being like, she's going to do this big show in Boston, so effectively announcing without announcing Mercedes Moné. She got a way bigger pop.
Well, this was somewhat leaked on the day.
But Mercedes was well known ahead of time.
Well, yes, I'm saying this wasn't. I'm almost backing up your point.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a complete surprise return.
Yes.
This was leaked or got out. I mean, I'm always skeptical of these things. I think AEW maybe intentionally told a few people. Apparently, it was well known within Warner Bros. Discovery that Jericho was coming back on this episode a day or so ago. So that's another way for this information to get out. But then, yeah, I think most of the main people, your Shawns, your Daves, your Bryans, your Mikes, they all seem to have been aware of this happening on Monday.
Yeah.
And then it started to come out publicly Wednesday afternoon ahead of Dynamite, which is, cool. It's a ratings ploy. It's a way to get people to tune in. And the very first thing they had on the show was Jericho coming out.
Yeah, which I think is the smart move.
It's a move.
It is a move, but let's talk about Jericho. And was it the right move for Jericho? Because we've been talking about this man now for months on end. Was it late last year that the rumors started to circulate that he might be sort of looking to leave? It's almost like mid last year, whereas like he might be on his way out at this point, and he's like his contract's up at the end of the year. Talks with WWE. Maybe he'll be in the Rumble. Maybe he'll be on the first episode of the year on Netflix. We've been talking about this for a while now.
Well, Jericho's been off TV since, I think, April last year. So it's almost a full calendar
Dynasty,
year.
yeah, because he lost the title to Bandido.
And then I think was it the next episode he left the learning tree. So Big Cass and Brian Keith, please flourish without me. Because that's the great thing about Jericho. He puts young guys around him to elevate them, and they always go on to bigger and better things afterwards.
Always getting people over is Chris Jericho.
Like, that guy, he was a really big deal before he got, like the Sex Gods Galaxy, I think they are. Sex Bros.
There's a long... So Sammy is a guy.
Garcia.
Jake Hager.
Daniel
Garcia. LAX. Who else has been... obviously, Brian Keith. Big Cass. Who else was in the learning tree?
Oh, good question.
No, there's all of them in the learning tree. Who was in the
Jericho Appreciation Society?
Oh, Daddy Magic and Matt Menard.
Yes.
2.0.
Yep. They're doing great things as well right now.
Yep. And then, of course, there's feuds with Hook. Got him over. Feuds with Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
I think the Orange Cassidy was already over and then just stayed at the same level of over. Will Ospreay at Wembley not last year, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think if Will Ospreay had not had that match with Chris Jericho at Wembley, I think he'd be a member of the Dogs at this point. That'd be how under he is.
So Jericho, pretty much calendar year ago, I think it's August. I think it's around Forbidden Door time where someone says, oh, Jericho could go back to WWE. His contract is up at the end of the year. And then a few weeks after, I think it's on Forbidden Door week, because that was one of the talking points going into the press conference that I regret not asking about in hindsight.
Right, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have got an answer.
Yeah.
He would have just told you what's coming up on Dynamite on Wednesday.
Yeah, but at least I would have asked and I would have felt better about myself.
Yeah.
But Jericho liked a WWE referencing post. So not from WWE, but someone had posted something about all of Jericho's best WWE moments. And Jericho liked it. And then he does an interview, I think, where he talked about how great NXT's production is. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I'm open to going to I'll be open to going back to WWE. And then later on, there was the announcement of the cruise. his next cruise, and it had no AEW talent booked for it.
Which wasn't actually crazy. Previous cruises had been announced with a limited number of people, and then closer to the time you'll get the AEW names announced, because AEW might not know who's available for that cruise that far in advance. So that wasn't a crazy thing, but there was no AEW branding at all on the cruise announcement.
Yeah. And so there's been plenty of speculation. There was Adam Pearce leading into the Raw on Netflix return this year, where he said that someone is going to break the walls down. And I was like, oh, wow, so Jericho's going to be on the first Raw of Netflix of 2026. And he was like, no, it's a Stranger Things reference. Because they're always saying that on Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's the walls that they break down to get into whatever new underworld thing they've got to go to.
Yeah, or someone stands around and breaks walls down through explanation.
Yes, yeah.
Expositing walls down.
Yeah, so to let me explain how to break a wall down to you. This pen is a wall, and this vinyl player is me breaking it.
Is that little girl.
Hate it. Hate Stranger Things Series 5.
And then there was obviously fan speculation he'd be part of the Rumble. Although Fightful Select have reported very, very clearly, they've always been very clear on this, never any creative pictures for him to be on that Raw on Netflix, never any creative pictures for him to be in the Rumble. He's always been on AEW's roster page. And people who have had their contracts lapse or contracts end immediately are taken off the roster page, but Jericho has remained there. And I think Fightful even said that his contract was being extended because he missed pretty much all of last year. So even if his contract was up at the end of 2025, it was going to get extended anyway because he missed 6 months of the year. So 8 months.
8 months, yeah. So at the very least, we're looking at a September, WrestlePalooza season.
Yeah. So then there's like, maybe it'll be a Raw after Mania thing if you can get out of his contract early, because people like Penta, Phoenix, I think Ricky Starks got out of their contracts eventually, even though they were having time added on to them. So maybe there is something that he can do after WrestleMania, or as you say, maybe it's more towards WrestlePalooza season.
I'll add another bit that everyone thought he might be coming back recently. Do you remember?
Was it all the references that people were dropping on in promos?
No, it was the box. The crate.
Oh, yeah!
The crate arrived. It was Danhausen.
I forgot about the box.
It was another AEW talent.
Yeah, it's a different one.
But you're right. In previous weeks of Raw, multiple wrestlers in their promos have made weirdly worded allusions to Jericho catchphrases.
And it was particularly because there were 3 of them in a row. And granted, at this point, it sounds like the red string is coming out and you're just sort of trying to tie things together. But 3 in 3 weeks did feel like it was being done on purpose. And it was like, you have made the list, the learning tree. And I can't remember what the other one was now.
Yeah.
But it did feel like what they did when Punk came into AEW was they'd have wrestlers say Punk catchphrases to let you, the audience, know, by the way, the rumors are true, Punk is coming in.
And that's probably because, as this Fightful report says, and the Wrestling Observer have corroborated, Chris Jericho was in talks with WWE in recent months.
Which suggests to me, and you might be able to correct me on this is kind of my reading of this, that he would have been able to get out of his contract. Because if you're having talks while under contract, that could be considered contract tampering.
Yes, I don't know. Like, talks could just be Jericho chatting. People talk whether they're under contract or not all the time anyway.
I think I was wondering how official these talks are, because otherwise it could be considered contract tampering. And there was a big deal about that when Triple H first got the book for WWE. And he was like Aleister Black was accused of it because it was like, can you get out of your contract and come here? So, I mean, like, this
Adam
is not,
Cole, Roderick Strong.
And this is not like speculation. Swerve Strickland has said, they called me and I passed them on to my reps because I'm not going to talk to them directly. Also, it's contract tampering.
Yeah. So if Jericho, unless Jericho's signed a new contract with AEW and his contract actually was expiring or in a period of the end of the contract where you can start to have talks with different parties, maybe that's what happened here. Or, look at the track record, maybe they were just talking.
Maybe.
Or legality be damned.
Maybe the idea of there have absolutely been talks between Chris Jericho and WWE was given by Chris Jericho to the dirt sheets as a negotiating tactic to kind of get him back into
Yeah.
AEW. Because
Potentially.
the other side from Fightful's report is that his name's not being brought up in creative. There have been no creative pitches made for Jericho to come in. So it could be either Jericho or friendly with Jericho, close to Jericho, feeding that news in, just getting it into the news cycle because it makes Jericho's position stronger when renegotiating with AEW. And then he, calling himself the Cornerstone, he trademarked that last week, or filed for the trademark last week. He is their first ever big signing. He is their first ever world champion. He is one of the reasons why they got such a big deal for Turner. That maybe it's just another part of this negotiating tactic to stay here.
And rather than go through WWE and WWE directing their wrestlers to say certain lines in the promos, maybe he's friendly with Punk. I think it was Rollins who made the other one. Maybe he's just texting him, hey, it'd be good if you could just use a line of mine in the promos just to get the internet chattering because I'm trying to get a new deal over here in AEW. Mm-hmm. Well, you've got speculation though, haven't you, that WWE might have made him an offer. And I think the Wrestling Observer backs this up in that the creative for Jericho, if he came back to WWE, would have been a retirement run.
Yes, and probably would have ended with him being beaten by Gunther, and Gunther would have added another notch on his belt for the career killer gimmick that he has got, but has unfortunately had to put on pause for the moment because he's facing Rollins now at WrestleMania.
Jericho is 55. He'll turn 56 in November. Yeah. So he is in sort of the age when he should be thinking of a retirement. He looks great. We didn't talk about that. He looked fantastic.
He looked great.
He looked like Jericho of 5 years ago.
Yeah, he looked way better here than he did towards the end of his last run he had in AEW. But so my speculation on this, and I talked about this in yesterday's WrestleTalk news, so apologies if you've kind of heard me say this already, but now I can have it in more of a discussion format. I wonder if Jericho looked at how WWE treated Bill Goldberg in his retirement, actually to a degree how they treated John Cena in his retirement as well, because it's not like John Cena's retirement year was this all-time home run of a retirement year, just one great show at the end.
It made loads of money.
It did make lots of money, but then
creatively it wasn't good.
But you're never going to be treated like John Cena, even if you are Chris Jericho. Sting in WWE would not have been treated on the same level of John Cena.
AJ Styles,
absolutely. So maybe he's looking at the run of Bill Goldberg, the run of AJ Styles, and just being like, do you know what? I'm actually going to look at what AEW did with Sting in his retirement year, and that's what I want. I want to be treated with some level of respect on the way out, and AEW will probably treat with, and as I said, it's pure speculation on my part, AEW will treat me or treat Jericho with so much more respect in his last run than WWE would. WWE will say, legend, X amount of time Intercontinental Champion. But the fact of the matter is, and the truth of the matter is, it took Jericho a long time to find his feet within WWE because they never had any faith within him and never really thought he was going to be a good enough main eventer.
And also, who's got the book in WWE? It's Paul Levesque. There is a weirdly, as Triple H has with many wrestlers, a weirdly tense relationship. I think if Triple H was a contemporary of yours as a wrestler, which Jericho was, he's gonna see the value in you, but he might not, even unconsciously, pass up the opportunity to bury you a bit on the way out.
I think Triple H has an issue with people who were more popular than he was when he was a top guy. Yeah. I think that's why he doesn't like The Rock. I think that's probably why he doesn't like Jericho. I think he's just got an issue with people. He's got a bit of an ego.
Mick Foley as well. But the guy that made Triple H's career, he's like...
Like, we're talking about Jericho at this point in time in sort of, in our 2001 retrospective podcast. But when Jericho first came into WWF in 1999, there were legit issues within WWF that he might not get over or be given a push because he had long blonde hair. And Triple H is the guy that's got long blonde hair. We can't have two guys with long blonde hair. Maybe we'll need to do something about this Chris Jericho, lads.
It's mad. So, yeah, I think... Well, you don't need to have a report to just look at the situation of what AEW does with their legends and what WWE do with their legends. Creatively and sort of fulfillment-wise and satisfaction-wise, the odds are you will have a better retirement run in AEW. it's kind of out of your hands in WWE, and the odds are it won't be creatively perfect to the level you want it to be. And that puts a bit of Fightful's report really into perspective for me. Because, this is Meltzer tweeting. I was told a week ago from WWE not to expect him in WWE anytime soon, if ever.
Yeah.
And now Jericho's come back here. I don't think Jericho comes back on April 1st, 2026. If he's going to WWE later this year or next year, he's 55 years old. He'd be 56 in November. I think this is Jericho's final run. I don't think he'll retire within the year. But 2 years' time, yes, I could see that. And maybe WWE were like, well, we don't want a 58-year-old guy still wrestling every week on TV.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And I wonder is it a Jericho thing of, I don't want to go there because most likely my retirement will just be beaten by Gunther on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event and I won't even get to do my retirement speech? Or is it WWE being like, really, we don't actually have... The only value you have to us is to be beaten by Gunther to elevate him. Which actually, in a way, is quite a nice sword to fall on. And that's quite a good way to go out, is to make sure you are elevating up the next generation's top heel. Or is it just a case of Jericho was like, I'm just going to stick with AEW because I'm going to get a much better retirement tour. Or I'm not even looking to do a retirement year.
Yeah, I think that's...
I'm signing a new 5-year deal. I've got another 5 years in me. I can take time off. And that's actually the other point. Sorry. I can take time off to do my other projects. He's clearly very passionate about his shit band. And he wants to go and make another shit album.
Does he still do podcasts? I don't follow him at all anymore.
I'll Google this, but I think he does still do his shit podcast.
I don't think even WWE would sign off on him having some of the guests he used to in the last couple of years.
Yeah, he did. He had Will Wheaton on one day ago.
Well, that's okay.
40 years of Stand By Me.
Oh, we did it on Stand By. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You had Rosanna Arquette on. What she talked about? I think she was in Nightmare 3. Derek Stroop was on an episode. Loving the Alien, the fashion faces and personas of David Bowie.
That's good.
Captain Eileen Collins, the first woman to command the space shuttle.
Come on, give me a weird one, though. Was someone who thinks that portholes exist? Wormholes. Give me a wormhole guy. Or gal, but let's be honest.
The old school heavy metal bits. A Tail Gunner. So they're touring with Tail Gunner in the UK, or they had toured with them, because my brother-in-law was a massive fan of them. On my gob, a depth deliberation with John Goblikon. Oh, hello. You might be onto... Okay, here's what you're after. John Goblikon of Necrogoblikon joins to break down his life as a 30,000-year-old goblin navigating humans, music, comedy, and podcasting. I think he is a character, though.
Okay, yeah,
so it's not quite the same.
But yeah, regardless of that, Jericho does have more creative freedom, more business freedom within AEW than he would really get in WWE. I think he is at a position where he could negotiate some flexibility. But WWE are actually, they've got a more... I thought when WWE became part of TKO, which is part of Endeavor, I thought it would open up their talent to do more things, to become more entrepreneurial in a way. But that actually doesn't seem to have happened. TKO just used them to use within more Endeavor projects, as opposed to the wrestlers' own projects, like you would actually expect from an independent contractor.
I will disagree somewhat. I just think you have to be the right level of star to be able to do that. You know, Liv Morgan's in that Bad Lieutenant movie. Drew McIntyre's going,
which is probably agented by WME.
Drew McIntyre's going off to film that Highlander movie, which again
probably agented by WME.
WME, and obviously Cody and Roman are in the Street Fighter.
Probably agented by WME. But I don't think they're not doing external things to the company. It's all within this ecosystem.
There was someone who recently said and they went to AEW over WWE because they could do outside projects. I can't even think who it was now, actually.
Because Jericho might still have an eye on what he's going to do post-retirement. He is a smart businessman because he has made a decent amount of change outside of wrestling with the bands and whatnot. And that would be limited by WWE. So, shall we talk about how we feel about Jericho?
Yeah, I talked for a while, so you go.
A Reddit comment. I'm sorry, I can't remember who said it. Summed it up for me. it's a win for AEW that Jericho didn't go to WWE. But it's also a loss. It's like AEW, this was a no-win situation for them. Jericho goes to WWE, it heats up WWE in a way that they kind of need going into WrestleMania and afterwards, because, like, what other big returns can they do? They've gone into I called it a couple of months ago, the retirement era, where the only way they can do big buy rates or interest is have a star from 15 years ago or older do their retirement dates. It's Goldberg, it's AJ Styles, it's John Cena. And then this year we'll have Brock Lesnar. We could have had Chris Jericho. Because they haven't built people up. It used to be the part-timer era. Mm-hmm. This is the natural progression of that when you become a bit creatively stale. Those part-timers, this is their final part-time run. So blocking WWE from having Jericho to fit that strategy is really positive for AEW. But Jericho is no longer a positive in AEW outside of that. I think the mainstream appeal of getting new casuals back in, we've had 6 years of that, 7 years of that. That's done now. You've crossed over all the people. Jericho's utility as a lead generator for new fans has been exhausted.
I completely agree.
So that's no longer a function. And also, just as me personally, and I'm a bit hypocritical here, because when Ronda Rousey came in at Revolution, I was of the opinion, which I stand by, look, it's not for us. This is to get mainstream casual people in. Like, I don't want to see, I'm done with Ronda in wrestling, but I get it. And here we've got Jericho, and the argument is he'll bring in casuals, but maybe he won't actually.
I don't think Jericho's bringing in... Jericho's not bringing in casuals. It's
in 2026.
It's to bring in lapsed fans. But I think those lapsed fans were brought in 2019. I don't think 7 years on, people were like, oh, what? Sorry, Jericho. Oh, I will tune in.
So maybe it's not hypocritical then. Whereas I don't see the use of Jericho in AEW anymore unless he's going to go on a 6-month retirement run.
Yeah, I would agree with
you. And I don't think that's what he's going to do. So I guess the real top level question to answer in my head is blocking WWE from having Jericho a more powerful play than a more positive play than the negatives of keeping him within your own product for the next 2 years, let's say?
Yeah.
I actually think it is.
Okay. You think there's enough of a positive in there?
I think it's so positive to stop WWE getting that kind of momentum that and Jericho will not have a detrimental effect to the overall show, and you will get to do the retirement run at some point. I think overall it's thin, and I do not want to see him on screen in AEW anymore, really. And I don't think the fans do either, because even his hometown with his dad in did not really cheer that much for him. And by God, he tried to milk it. I believe aura farming is the word for it.
Yeah.
You know, like the amount of times he was like, come on! Yeah. And the crowd just went, yeah.
It's like watching a Natalia match.
yeah. Yes, so that's my feeling. Like I'm trying to look at it as objectively on the chessboard of the AEW WWE war as possible. I think it is a positive for AEW. But as a fan, I'm not enthused about seeing them on the product.
I think I'm looking at it as a negative for AEW. Kind of backing up the exact same points that you just made there, but I think I'm looking at Jericho in the same way as the reaction that Ronda Rousey got at Revolution. And when AEW was on this huge upswing leading into Revolution, everyone was so excited about this main event, picture scene, all these interesting stories. The second that Ronda showed up, it was like, but that's not what I'm after. What I want is all of this cool stuff that I'm really into, and this one thing has detracted from what is a really great show because I'm just distracted by this really good thing. And AEW now at the moment is still on this bit of a run with like some really top level guys going after the world title, but now you've got this one guy who might cause a distraction from that, and he might be quite a big negative one that makes people like, yeah, but Jericho's stinking up the joint again, isn't he? It's another Jericho match that's got to be on the card. One of the Patreon comments we got with like, oh, he's back in time for Wembley season. I don't want to watch him at Wembley. I was so excited about so many things for Wembley. A Jericho match is not something I'm excited for Wembley.
But it's not enough to turn you off the product.
No, but it's enough to make me leave Wembley Stadium for a bit to go and get a drink and go and get some food because I'm going to see his shit band setting up their crap instruments to play one of their rubbish songs.
So that's the negative to you as a fan. Is that outweighed by the positive momentum WWE would get if Jericho turned up in WWE on Raw, the Raw after Mania?
I think if Jericho showed up on the Raw after Mania, it would not have made that much of a difference. I don't think it would have halted the momentum of AEW. I don't think it would have added to momentum for WWE
I think it
either.
Would. I think it
because
would.
I think the momentum for Jericho, and I'm just going to tie this into my AEW thoughts as well. I think the momentum for Jericho was in January. Mm-hmm. And here in April, all that momentum is gone. In January, we did an episode where I said, I wonder if this is going to be like that Abyss situation. So, short story. Abyss was negotiating, when he was with TNA, was negotiating with WWE about leaving TNA and joining WWE. And they were going to have him versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. And they had all the creative laid out for it. It was actually a ruse being done by Abyss. And I think Jeremy Borash was a big part of this as well. That Abyss would then go and stick with TNA. And all the rumors would leak out online. Abyss is going to WWE. He's going to be facing The Undertaker. And then he shows up on Impact. It's like, no, I've chosen to stay here with TNA. And, oh, we got the monster. It didn't actually make that much of a difference. I don't think people really noticed that Abyss was going to go and that he was still there. But that was what they were intending to do. And I said, I wonder if Jericho might do the same thing. We're doing all these rumors. He's going to go to WWE. And then a week later, he shows up on Dynamite. That would have been the time to do it. If Jericho had come in the week after the Royal Rumble or the week after the Netflix first episode of the year, that would have been quite a big bit of momentum for AEW, and it would have hurt WWE. I think at this point here in April, I think people were over it. I think people were over the idea he was going to go to WWE, and people are over the idea he was going to return to AEW.
Yeah, you are right. It would definitely be more impactful back in January. But are we being too harsh on Jericho?
No.
Look,
I can rag on his band some more if you'd like.
Look, Jericho has given us 28 years of greatness. And then the last 2, he's been annoying. And
it's longer than that as well, because I think he debuted in 91. So I think you can say like from sort of 90, let's say 95 is our starting point here. So like 31 years.
31 years. And in that time, he has reinvented himself over and over again. The man has more catchphrases than anyone in wrestling because he keeps finding new ways to come back. But the last 2 years have sort of made us forget that because he has just been this dead weight on the card because he hasn't got away. One of the things he used to do in WWE, he'd have a 2-3 year run, then he'd leave just before he was about to turn stale as a babyface, and then he'd come back a year after, and it'll be a big return. Like one of the best things that would happen that year, every couple of years. I think a fault of AEW here, the one thing I definitely would have changed, is have him come out and immediately go into whatever this new gimmick, whatever this new storyline is. He just came out, said 4 words, and walked out. It was not exciting.
No, it wasn't.
But if he is smart enough and he is talented enough because he's done it so many times, I can't personally see what gimmick or storyline he can do that's going to make me excited, but I never foresaw the list. I never foresaw the jacket. I never foresaw a little bit of the bubbly. Maybe he does have something. And if he doesn't have something in the first month, he might have something because he throws enough at the wall in month 2. I think it's very important he doesn't have a faction. He's done that. Surely there are no more stories to tell like that. But is there a meta, really good way to use Jericho in AEW? Surely they've thought about it.
They must have done it.
Jericho must be aware of it because he's just taken a year off because he sensed the crowd were turning on him. This could work out if we trust in Jericho.
But we know what the gimmick is. He's the cornerstone. That's what his whole shtick is going to be. I'm the cornerstone of this company. I was their first big signing. I was the first world champion. The reason we're on Turner is because of me. That's going to be the character that he does. For me, I'm looking up and down this roster and I'm watching this show. I can't point to a single person on this roster and say, that's a feud I'm excited for. That's a match I'm excited for. Because either he's already had that match, or people they brought in I'm not excited to see him work with. Am I excited to see him working with David Finlay? Not really. Am I excited to see him work with Andrade? Not really. The Don Callis family. Well, we've done Don Callis. We've already done that feud. We've done Kenny Omega. We have done Jon Moxley. He has done everything that's there to be done. And it's kind of wild to me, like on commentary in the main event, Kenny Omega said, I've never had a match with Darby Allin. And I'm like, that's like, do you know what?
Yeah.
I actually do want to see that match. That is a match I've not seen in AEW. But if it was Kenny versus Jericho, no. If it's Jericho versus Darby, no. It's not lighting a fire. That's not to say a fire cannot be lit. It's not to say that in 2 months' time, I'm going to be sat here on this podcast, eating my crow, because turns out he's done it again. Son of a bitch, he's done it again. And he's got a really good gimmick and a really good first feud. But as it currently stands here, I'm sat here looking at this. Someone's popular. I'm looking at this roster, and I cannot see anyone that I'm excited to see him feud with. Who's calling you?
0204.
That's where I'm at with Jericho at the moment.
Yeah.
As a first impression return, that's where I'm sat.
Yeah, so we do know the trademark of the cornerstone, which will be his gimmick most likely. But Jericho's trademarked a bunch of things before, and he realizes they might not work. So within a month, he's totally pivoted, and then that's the thing that gets over. Cornerstone could be a comedy heel gimmick. It could be, I'm the cornerstone, and people walk away from him. It could be an obnoxious bad guy.
That's just the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Well, I don't know. I just think I am sick of him too, but really, let's pay the guy some respect.
Yeah.
He has found ways to make it work so many times before, and we've loved it.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm going to do the same thing I do with Booker T. I respect the legend of Booker T. I respect the career that Booker T has had. I do not want to hear him do commentary on NXT.
I think that's very different, because Booker T is not changing. We're saying that Jericho works here if he changes.
He might do, you never know. Booker T might turn it around in 2 months' time and become a really good commentator.
But Booker T is always Booker T. Booker T has done this gimmick forever.
Yeah.
Jericho changes his gimmick. That's what I'm saying. Shall we see what the Patreons think?
Yeah.
Patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Please get your thoughts in over there. Jacob Dickens. It's not positive, by the way. None of these are going to back up my stance. Jacob Dickens, call me naive, but I'm cautiously optimistic about... Oh, this one is.
That's positive.
About Jericho being back. He's definitely been hit or miss in AEW over the years, but when he's creatively motivated, he's been a positive for the company. Judging by the shape he seems to be in, hopefully he has something to prove and will put the work in. Physically, I definitely get that. I didn't see, the spark in his eyes that would...
I think if he'd have got a bigger reaction, you might have. I think what you saw behind his eyes was like, uh-oh,
yeah.
This is not as big as I thought it would be.
I'm going to have to change that cornerstone gimmick. Vic Cutting. Honestly, who cares if Jericho's back? He'll probably be an annoying mid-carder for a few months before retiring quietly, as long as he doesn't go for any major titles. I imagine his run will be boring.
I think he's going to go for a world title.
Yeah.
I think once we get past, we'll do Kenny at Dynasty, we'll do Darby at Double or Nothing, and then it will be Jericho as the next feud before whoever MJF faces at Wembley.
Wins the Owen.
Oh, yeah, do you know what? And then it's Jericho versus MJF in the main event of Wembley.
On your point, Vic, I don't think he will... He's not come back to be a mid-carder for 6 months.
He's also not come back to retire quietly either.
Homer Star. I give it a month or two before Jericho starts annoying everyone and people start begging him to leave again. Yeah, Homer Star. That's happened already.
That's generous, mate.
Misha Sumra, Jericho back in time for a Wembley program.
Yep.
Jameson Evener, the Jericho pop was underwhelming, especially for his hometown. AEW has outgrown him, and I don't see a spot on the card for him I would be interested in, but open to be surprised.
Yeah, I agree with Jameson here.
Very good way of putting it. AEW has outgrown him.
Yeah.
Marlo Ramirez, finally. Jericho coming back tonight was a waste of time. If AEW wanted him to make a relevant impact, they should have had some story for him to be involved in. Instead, just feels like the return of TV time Chris Jericho.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll see, I guess. Should we get into the rest of the Dynamite review then? So this show opened with that Jericho segment, and then backstage, Ospreay brawled with Jon Moxley, and then Will Ospreay said a naughty word, and Excalibur had to apologize.
He went, F you, Moxley. I felt like they didn't let the Jericho thing breathe.
No.
I know he was in there for ages trying to get more of a reaction, but it's like, we needed to cut to the announce desk and they go, oh my God, can you believe that, Jericho? But straight to the back.
Yeah, I also felt then doing another segment, like another talking segment, was like, I'm ready for some wrestling right about now. Because what we had was the contract signing with MJF and Kenny Omega. They both signed immediately and then just cut very simple promos on each other. Kenny flipped the table because MJF said something to him. I can't remember which one it was now. And he was saying, like, you haven't got a lot of time left. You're looking to cement your legacy, and I'm going to make sure you don't do that.
Yeah, Max said that he's found Kenny's medical records or something, and the secret beneath all of this is that his diverticulitis could explode at any point. Mm-hmm. So he's not got long left, and then the fans will have to admit that their false idol would be better off dead. And that's what made Kenny flip out.
So Kenny flipped the table, and Speedball Mike Bailey ran down to make sure that Kenny didn't attack MJF because there was a no contact stipulation on this segment. Otherwise he'd have lost his pay-per-view match. And Speedball cut a promo on MJF to set up the main event. And Kenny kind of goaded Max into agreeing to it by saying, like, I had 25 inches of my intestines removed, and I think, going by your medical records, you've had your balls removed.
Mm-hmm. This was, again, as with Max, he's so good at getting his receipt because he came out here to goad Kenny into hitting him so he wouldn't have to face Kenny. And by the end of the segment, the baby faces have outsmarted Max to where he's wrestling later tonight. Yeah. I love that. It's so good to make the baby faces look smart. And I also thought Kenny's performance in the promo was way better than last week.
Agreed. And also MJF announced that he's bringing back his American hero gimmick as well.
He's in Canada.
Yeah, because we got in the main event. The Demand took on Kenny Omega, Brody King, and Jack Perry. Ricochet did a Crimea River shout-out during the commercial break. Heels worked over Jack. Kenny got the hot tag, and I think the match picked up once Kenny got the hot tag in, because everyone just got in, just did a bunch of stuff. There were some shenanigans with the national championship. That is a belt that does exist. Ricochet was trying to use it to cheat. Jack Perry stopped him doing that. V-Trigger and One Winged Angel, good guys get the win.
I forgot. Jack Perry was the national champion, and I thought Ricochet still was.
No, do you remember the Blackjack Battle Royal?
Oh, on the pre-show, yeah.
Yeah.
What a belt.
It ended up being on the main show.
Oh, yes, it crossed over.
Yeah.
You got the call-up. I liked the Kenny Ricochet singles match part of this.
Yeah.
Because they were telling a good story on commentary. It was Nigel, by the way, not Brian, on commentary this week. That Ricochet wanted to beat Kenny because Ricochet could then move up the card.
Yeah.
I thought that's a nice story. I got the desperation of Ricochet.
Willow cut a promo laying out an open challenge for Collision, which actually has happened, but we haven't seen it because it was taped on Wednesday. It aired on Thursday. We're taping this on Thursday. It airs on Friday. But the spoilers are out there if you want to find out who it was.
Should we just say?
Oh, yeah, actually, by the time,
So if you. Oh yeah, it's happened.
It's happened.
It's Shida.
Hikaru Shida having her first match in AEW since, I believe, November 2024.
Yeah, one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW, particularly from the early days. I guess it's that time of year where she'll come back,
just dust her off,
do a month, and then never to be seen again.
Yeah.
Renee... Maddening. The women's division has really sort of fallen apart with Tony, suddenly having to be away.
Yeah, you could tell that she was the linchpin, unfortunately.
So just call in Shida. Make her a permanent fixture. Yeah. Get Mercedes Moné back.
We need to start building some challenges for Tekla. Yeah. There was one of the bits of Patreon feedback, because we kind of focused it all around Jericho, but some people who had feedback for the show as a whole, someone did say, it was like, man, Tekla needs some storylines. Otherwise, her run's going to be as forgettable as Chris Statlander's was. And you look at the sixth woman that comes up later. I would agree. She needs some challenges. She needs some story. She needs some stars to come in and try and face her for that title.
And as much as I love Willow, like the TBS title has not been... It's nowhere near as important as when we had Mercedes and Tony last year as like the 1 and 1A of the women's division.
Renee was backstage waiting for CNC to arrive. I've really enjoyed Christian here. He has and always will be the best part of this act because Cope is looking for FTR. He says, and we're going to attack anyone that gets in our way. So Christian goes to hit Renee with a chair because she's in his way. And Cope's like, no, not Renee. Come on, man. We don't hit Renee.
Brilliant.
They then find FTR's locker room and burst in, but FTR aren't there tonight. They're going to be on Collision instead. But the Don Callis family were hanging out. Trent and Rocky Romero were there. CNC lay them out, and the commentary said, why were the Don Callis family in FTR's locker room?
Yeah, so expect some money to change hands, Cope and Christian taken out, and then they'll probably come back in 6 months' time.
Oh, well, after... No, they went in the tag...
Dynasty.
They went in the tag titles of Dynasty. Or Dynasty. Pac took on Will Ospreay. Pac somehow... He made his entrance first, and then there was a glitch in the game, and then he did his run-in animation to attack Will Ospreay from behind during the entrance.
They got it over really well, though. They're just like, man, Pac's fast and sneaky. Yeah, I thought it was great because then they did a huge injury angle. Like, it felt severe. What was it? He hit a brainbuster.
Brainbuster on the ramp, yeah.
On Will's neck, on the ramp. And Will's selling here was impeccable.
Yeah, one of the other bits of feedback we had on Patreon was like, his selling is scary of his neck because he's so legit. He feels so legit about it. Yeah. This was Pac just working over the neck. Tornado DDT on the floor. Ospreay just gets back in at 9. It goes through 2 commercial breaks. It was given a lot of time. And then we get to the finish. I really liked this finish.
Yeah.
Pac hits the Black Arrow, locks in the Brutalizer. Ospreay tries to stand up, but he can't. His neck just won't. He hasn't got enough strength to really get up. But he does get his foot onto the ropes. Pac, realizing this, rolls him back into the center of the ring. But Ospreay out-wrestles him and uses this opportunity to pin his shoulders to the mat while he's still in the hold. And Pac's selling of that was just like, mother effer got me.
Yeah,
he got me.
Great finish. Just a fantastic finish to what was not even low key, but just like a really, really good match.
Yeah.
And you can tell because the Winnipeg crowd, who weren't that loud for the show up until this point, weren't that loud for the first half of this. From the Styles Clash onwards, I was like, oh, they can be loud.
Yeah.
Because Ospreay sucked them into the story. I thought this was really, really good. At one point, when he hit the Black Arrow into the Brutalizer, I was like, are they beating Will?
Yeah, I thought they were going to, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, so Will is going to tell the story that he's injured, he's not 100%. Sure, he can beat Christian, but he can't beat Pac. And of course not, but they wrestled so well, they told such a good story. I believed Will Ospreay would lose his second match back on TV when he's wrestling Mox at the pay-per-view next weekend. Job bloody done.
The Death Riders attacked him afterwards, and they put Ospreay's head into a chair, but Mox doesn't do it. And he says, what did you think was going to happen? There's 6 of us and 1 of you. You run your mouth. You need to start using your head, or you might just lose it. Do not make this personal. This isn't personal. Do not make it personal. So it's just threatening him there. The reason I wasn't hugely into this because someone said, again, I'm referring back to the Patreon feedback that didn't do, was like, oh, we're not seeing, Mox never changed. He's still been a heel, we just cheer him now. Sort of comparing it to a Roman Reigns thing. But like, I watched the C2. He definitely has changed as a character.
Yeah, he had more honor. And yeah, there was a definite shift after when he got psychologically rattled.
Yeah.
I disagree with that comment as well. And I thought, oh, is this the time when Mox starts to lean more into his repentful side? Where he's, yeah, I do. Last year when I took you out, that was a different me. But I took you out, and this is where we are. So I'm going to have to break your neck again. Like that. That's all it has to be. But again, he's just going back into the old Death Riders heel mode. But his delivery is fantastic.
It is, yeah. And I suppose you can make the argument of Yuta and Garcia thought he was going to do it. Because they were like, yeah, smash it, boss, smash it. And he didn't.
He didn't do it.
So you could say, like, he had the opportunity to do it and he didn't take it, whereas the Mox of old would have taken that opportunity.
Yeah.
But it felt to me like it was also just a warning to be like, look, the six of us are one of you. This was going to happen. You keep running your mouth. You keep getting yourself in trouble.
Old Mox would have just done it right away. Yeah. That's a good point. I love the line he said as well about, how did you think this was going to go? And he delivers it so quietly. He goes, there's six of us. Did I put you in this chair, or did you put you in this chair? What a great line.
Do you know what that says to me? That's Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing. Team Will versus the Death Riders.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Triangle of Madness took on Mina Shirakawa and the Brawling Birds, and the crowd went quiet.
Yeah, I mean, because these are all good, but there's no story here. I thought the Brawling Birds are really growing as a tag team. Yeah. Great tag team offense, great matching gear. And Jamie Hayter got the win over Julia Hart. Yeah,
Tekla tried to use the Nux, but the Brawling Birds stopped her. And then there they won. Jamie hit the Haterade to get the win. Got a video for Juice Robinson taking on Tommaso Ciampa on Collision. And then Darby came out for a promo. And this crowd aren't all that into Darby going for the world title, I don't think. He said, I hope Kenny beats him at Dynasty, and then maybe I'll face him for the world title. And he wants to speak with MJF, but the Don Callis family came out. And Don says, well, Darby, I've made an arrangement. If you can beat a member of my family at Dynasty, you can get your shot at MJF and the world title. And that man is Andrade. And Andrade looks nonplussed about this. And then he sent the rest of his cronies to go beat down Darby, but Jack Perry and Brody King came out to stop that from happening. Then Kenny Omega came down to sort of be shipped passing that. I think what they were trying to do is not telegraph too much that Darby's beating Andrade and MJF is beating Kenny, and then your main event for Double or Nothing is... Because at the end of this segment, I was like, all right, okay, so Darby's just going to beat Andrade and MJF's beating Kenny.
Yeah.
And I kind of got unexcited about the Dynasty main event of MJF and Kenny. I think it'll still be a good match, but I'm not as into the possibility of a title change as I was, say, last week.
Well, they're doing what a good booker should do, which is just treat all possibilities as real in the moment. So I like the complexity of the main event scene.
I like the complexity, but
I agree.
There's a difference between complexity and just telling you outright the main event of the next pay-per-view is Darby versus MJF. And they try to do a little bit, like, Kenny going up to him and saying something to Darby, and on commentary he's like, yeah, you know what, if he beats Andrade, he can face me for the title. It's not enough. It is lip service.
I disagree. I mean, I do agree, but I don't think it's as bad as that, because Kenny's setting up the Mike Bailey one, Darby is setting up the Max one if they retain the world title. I think there is as much as you can do realistically with a 3-week build to Dynasty to making it feel like a fleshed out thing, and they're setting up what the match will be at the next pay-per-view. I think that's good booking.
What you do, there's a simple way to do around this, is Andrade versus Darby is a number one contenders match. It's not if Darby wins, he gets a title match.
Yeah.
Because it's not if Andrade wins, he gets a title match.
Well, maybe that's coming because Andrade was caught by surprise and didn't look happy with this. So maybe Andrade's like, but what's in it for me?
Yeah.
I'm not going to wrestle him. I love money, but I love titles more. If I beat Darby, I get a shot at Max.
And then, what do we have here? Oh, and then MJF took on Speedball Mike Bailey in the main event, which was an awesome match.
So good.
This match was great.
I mean, it's hardly a hot take. Mike Bailey is Ricky Steamboat. It's so hard to just do a pure white meat babyface. Yeah. Someone with no edge. He is like, there is no sort of shades of grey with him.
He's the Super Mario Galaxy movie of wrestlers.
He is just, I'm a babyface. I fight for what is right. And I never cheat and kicks. And we're like, yeah.
Speaking of not cheating, I loved MJF One Clean. He just hit the tombstone on the apron, and he hit the heat seeker, and he won. There was no offbeat shenanigans. There was no ring. There was no chair. There was no title belt. He just won. I think it's a lost art in modern day wrestling, because I'm like this oldest man in the room now, even though I actually am the oldest man in this room. It's a lost art in modern wrestling that the heels can just win matches clean. They've always got to be some sort of shenanigans. There's got to be an interference. There's got to be a distraction. There's got to be this. There's got to be that. MJF just won clean. And Kenny on commentary, and I think this is part of it, said, He said he was going to win, and he did. And he won it clean. And I think that's really admirable.
Yeah.
It shows that MJF is a good champion. He's not just some chicken S-word cheating douchebag. He is the top guy. He is the world champion of this company.
He's credible.
He's a credible champion.
Take
Absolutely.
notes, Tekla. Don't always need the brass knucks.
Don't always need the brass knucks.
I thought Kenny was very good on commentary as well. He's just got such a different way of talking and explaining things. I really enjoyed that.
And then MJF went to beat down Bailey afterwards. But then Kenny ran in to make the save, and MJF ran away.
Yeah.
That was a good episode of Dynamite. The Jericho's the big talking points here. But otherwise, I thought it was a still solid build toward Dynasty.
Yeah, which in the main event, they said MJF will face Kenny in 11 days. I was like, what?
I know, it's
we
mad,
just
isn't
had
it?
Revolution.
Yeah.
Mania hasn't happened yet. How can we have 2 pay-per-views for AEW between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania? But that's the calendar we're in now.
Yeah.
Just have to get used to it. I'm looking forward to Dynasty. Hell of a card.
Hell of a card they've got currently up for it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a really, really good show. Just before we do get into the Ass Index, and I'll play the jingle shortly, the other bit of wrestling news I wanted to ask you about is this report from Meltzer that Bron Breakker is medically cleared. They could have done Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker at WrestleMania, but decided that we're going to wait to do that match because they want to give it proper TV build.
Yeah. If he's cleared right now, that means he could have just turned up a week or so ago and done the mask reveal. That would give you 4 weeks build for the Seth match. You wouldn't have to do the whole Paul Heyman nonsense with the police and the emails and all that stuff. I disagree. I think, look, injuries are unfortunate, but when you don't pay off matches within an appropriate time frame, you run the risk of one of your guys getting hurt. And this is a feud and a story that's far outstayed its welcome. And you've had multiple injuries within the course of it. Like, at some point, you have to take some responsibility for not pulling a trigger earlier.
I think it is. If Meltzer's right, if Meltzer's report's right, I think it is madness that they're not doing that match at WrestleMania if they had the option to do it. They've been telling this story since October. And it's not like they've done no angles with Seth Rollins versus The Vision. They've done nothing but angles with Seth Rollins and The Vision since he's come back. They've been doing angles about that since January, since the Royal Rumble. Like, it's Bron Breakker showed up on the Madison Square Garden show. I don't think it was like, whoa, they're rushing this story into Mania. I think people would be like, that's a natural plot progression of the story we've been telling since October for this story.
Arguably April, when the group was first formed.
Yeah.
It's maddening. Like just pay it off. Can we just do the match so we can move on to something else?
Makes me feel like they're going to do it in next year's Mania.
Oh God.
Sorry, Ass Index.
Cue the music.
Cue the music.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare your apologies, because this is the Ass Index.
There it is.
Bit of a rough one for Billy coming up, I think.
No.
Because what I've been doing, I've been trying to go further down the list to give him some time, but I've gone back to get the other part of the list that I haven't used.
Do we want to address any of the controversial ones from last week?
Oh, Mr. Anderson.
Who was the one we did a coin flip on last week? A couple of coin flips, I think. Liv Morgan, I think, might have been one of them.
Liv Morgan was better than. And Big E was definitely better.
Yeah, Big E was definitely.
Maybe it was just Liv Morgan. Or Jey Uso.
Was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
I don't separate it out by weeks, but maybe I should.
But anyway, I can't remember
the classes of the Ass Index.
Also, actually, I do need to address this because a few people have been quite annoyed by this. You ask me who is better, are they better or worse?
Don't change it,
and
man.
I say yes or no, which is not. It's not a yes or no question.
Don't change that. I like that part of it. When I read that, I was like, oh yeah, we do it completely wrong. Let's keep that up. Okay, is Jeff Hardy better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Yes.
Oh, now I'm confused. He's better, right?
Jeff Hardy's better, yeah. Yes means better, no means worse.
Okay. Is Kurt Angle better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Yes.
Well, actually, can we go to better or worse? It's got in my own head now.
But he's better.
Is Bret Hart better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Bret Hart is better than Billy Gunn.
Is Brock Lesnar better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Brock Lesnar is better than Billy Gunn.
Put that on. Take that out of context. Is Christian Cage better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Absolutely, he's better.
Is Steve Austin better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Yes, he is.
Is Kevin Owens better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Yes, he is.
Is Will Ospreay better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Yes, he is.
Is Kazuchika Okada better or worse than Billy Gunn?
I think Okada might be better than Billy Gunn, yes.
Is Sami Zayn better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Yes, he is.
Is Hulk Hogan better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Yes, he is.
Is Samoa, just because you said yes,
Yes,
Hulk
he is
Hogan is better.
Yeah.
Is Samoa Joe better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Samoa Joe is better than Billy Gunn.
Is Gunther better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Gunther is better than Billy Gunn.
Is Eddie Guerrero better or worse than Billy Gunn?
Eddie Guerrero is better than Billy Gunn.
Oh, it's a proper stop. He's already dead kind of
That
week.
was a bad week. It was an ass week for old Billy Ass. That was rough. That was a one-sided squash match.
Yeah. Any recommendations?
Yes, but it is a recommendation that has come before here on this show. I'm going to recommend Jury Duty.
Yeah, you are.
I've watched the whole season.
You finished it?
Watched the whole thing.
Because it's like half-hour episodes, smash through it.
Yeah, so last night, my wife and I watched like 2 episodes and then realised that the next episode was the final verdict. We're like, oh, we should watch that as well because that will probably have the reveal. And then when that happens... So in case no one doesn't know what the Jury is, it's a show on Amazon where there is a fake trial. Everyone is an actor except for one person who thinks the whole thing is real. It's so well done. It's so well put together. It's genuinely lovely. It's so heartwarming. It's hilariously funny. James Marsden playing himself is incredible.
It's so incredibly unique because not only is it somehow an incredibly well-written sitcom, it's also a reality show because there's one real person in it reacting to everything.
Who thinks he's on a reality TV show because they're making a documentary about being on jury service.
You just always have this bit of tension of, oh my God, is something going to go wrong? Yeah. And the whole game's up. I've never seen anything like it.
So we watched the final verdict where they do the reveal of, and this whole thing has been fake. And then the next episode, it was like, and there's another episode, and here's how we did it all. And we looked at our watches, and it was 11:30. And I was like, I've got to be up at 5 a.m. to watch Dynamite. But I really want to watch this now. I want to see how the sausage was made. I want to see Ronald's reactions to everything. I want more of this.
I haven't cried at a TV show that hard for years. With the reveal, and it's tears of happiness.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a beautiful show.
So good. Yeah. I can't recommend it enough. And when we get the chance, I'm going to start the next one. I'm going to start Company Retreats, which you said is not as good.
It's not been as good so far. I think the jury duty setting was really strong because there's such a moral component to it. Mm-hmm. This is more of a corporate away day, which isn't as you don't think. Oh, yeah. But it's still really good.
Yeah,
it's just the other one was almost transcendentally good.
I think had I been in Ronald's shoes, I would have figured.
Be careful of spoilers.
No. If I was in Ronald's shoes, I'd have figured out twice that it was a setup because I recognised 2 of the actors.
Oh yeah.
Not one of which James Marsden. 2 of them. One of them was from Parks and Recreation, and another one is a one-off character in Brooklyn Nine-Nine when they're in Florida. He's one of the Florida men in prison, and I was like, aren't you?
Yeah.
You look a lot like the guy, particularly the one from Parks and Rec. Like, you look exactly the same as you did when you were on Parks and Rec.
I've no idea how they find the real person. Like, how do they say, and do you know any of these actors?
Yeah, because they said they auditioned like 250,000 people like who applied for the show. But I thought it was genuinely brilliant. The Margaritaville episode is fantastic. But the thing that made me laugh the most and that I enjoyed the most was him running lines with Marsden.
My recommendation is Wet Legs album.
Ooh.
Moisturizer, it is called. The front lady scares me. I've been avoiding the album. Do you want to see that? That's the front cover. She's too demonic.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
It's just a demonic presence that scares me. But I think I want that in my female-fronted rock bands.
Yeah.
A little bit of terror. But particularly the song Mange 2. Chaise Lounge, Mange 2. They love a French word that's been adapted into English.
Mange 2, Rodney. Mange 2.
Yeah. Just a very good album. Because they were on the first episode of SNL.
Yeah.
And that's when I first heard
UK.
Mange 2. UK, yeah. I was like, oh, this is getting my foot a tapping. It's a good album.
Good. Excellent recommendation.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. Please go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk because we have all of Monday Night War up there. It is the go-home show to our first pay-per-view, which is frustrating, to say the least.
Sure is.
But if you join now, you've got 4 episodes to watch, and you'll have a 5th on Monday. And also, we've got 3 Count tomorrow. The 3 Count WrestleMania 42 predictions.
Yeah, that'll be here up on YouTube. And then next week on Patreon, and on here on YouTube as well, is the next chapter in our Invasion podcast series. It is the episode reviewing WWE or WWF SummerSlam 2001. And over on Patreon, we'll be reviewing the episode where The Rock returns to the WWF and we laugh our tits off when Undertaker accidentally hit Sarah with the steel chair instead of DDP, but he was definitely gunning for Sarah when he swung that chair.
Oh, yeah. And also go over to Cutscene right now because we have a full review, well, a spoiler-free full review of Super Mario Bros. Galaxy Sunshine. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke and DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.